Yeah. I mean, what does it concern with me, you know? What does it have to do with what you think about? I mean, I was happy, you know, when you just left, you know, I thought I was relieved of my duties. When you came back. So there must be something that you like. Or you think you can profit from. I mean, what, you know, I often tell, what does it matter to a tree what the people think about a tree? I mean, the first person sees in this tree, you know, maybe it's a beautiful tree, sees, you know, already his statue cut out. So what he needs is, you know, put his knife to work. The next person, you know, sees in that tree, you know, his what is it called? The roof of his house. The beams for the roof of his house. That's what he sees in that tree. Because he needs a roof. That's why he sees it. The next one is cold, you know, he sees firewood in this tree. I mean, what does it have to do with the tree? Nothing. The tree is a tree. What people think about the tree, you know, or what they can make use of it, you know, that's what they do. I mean, the dumb person, you know, he's just so blind that he runs against this tree, you know, he's so angry with this tree, so he cuts him down. That's what people do. They don't like a person, so they shoot him. But what has it to do with the tree? What has it to do with us, what other people think about? What other people see in us is what they see, you know. Sometimes, you know, we can use it as a help, you know, if you have some problems. But otherwise, you know, it's just their views. And each person has a different view. I mean, some people like me and some people hate me. Now, what shall I take on? Of course, you know, what we take on is what we like. We don't take on what we hate, or that people hate us. And that's running through all our lives. We take on the things that we like, about our country, about our nation, about our family, and we just disrespect or disregard the things we don't like. I mean, that is natural, isn't it? It follows like a red line through our life. And it's the same thing what we want to do or what we are doing. Is that what we like to do? Or sometimes, you know, what we have to do. Or what we think we have to do. But we do avoid the things that we don't like. And that forms us. If we do that for a long time, you know, it will form us. It will form a certain way of characteristic tendencies that we have. And now not only think about, you know, this life, but previous lives. What we have done in previous lives forms the way we are today. So, I mean, the most difficult thing to understand is what exactly is self. What is it? I mean, when we look at ourselves, I mean, 15 years ago we have been some different person. So what is self? I mean, is it something that constantly changes? I mean, we meet a person, you know, and we are this. We meet another person and we are that. I mean, we meet our boss and then we are this person. And then we meet our loved one, and then we are like that. I mean, who the hell are we? What the hell is self? And what the hell is going from one life to the next life? I mean, the Christians call it a soul. Buddhists call it a being that goes from one life to the next life. But what actually is it? I mean, last time I was talking about karma. That's it, what goes from one life to the next life. Karma. You put something into the motion, and it rolls. Until you give it, until you stop it. And what is karma? It is, it is just a law of cause and effect. That's all. Karma is the law of cause and effect. Just like in physics, we have the law. Whatever, whatever you throw up must come down. I mean, that's a law. Please. I'm just developing. I'm trying to develop. So, and karma doesn't have a self, does it? Does the law of gravity has a self? I mean, it's a law, and it holds true for all beings. It holds true not only for beings, but everything that exists in this universe. So, law of karma is something that is very unpersonal. I mean, it just reacts. It just is cause and effect. Something causes, and it will have an effect. And then this effect will create another cause, and that will have another effect. It's just like a river running down. That is karma. And it looks for the path of least resistance. Aren't we? When we look in our life, we don't go the path of most resistance, we all go the path of least resistance. If we see something is too difficult, we just don't do it. Or we avoid it. If something is unpleasant, or hardship, then we avoid it. We don't do it. So, karma is that, it's a path of least resistance. It puts stumbling blocks in our way, and we find a way around. Now, when we look at this river, just think about, the self. What is self? When we think about, and everybody thinks about, self, is something that is very personal. I mean, about a river, there's nothing personal. I mean, it just flows down the river, Sooner or later it comes to the ocean, and then the sun picks it up. And then the wind, blows it in this direction and that direction. So ourselves is in one moment is the water in the river of Ganges, and the next time it's the water in the river of Mississippi, or in the Rhine. I mean, so whatever, But the process is always the same. The water flows down, it is picked up and is thrown somewhere. And then it forms, it falls into a river and it flows back down to the sea, where it is picked up and thrown back into something. That flows back to the sea. And that is, if you want to understand it, rebirth, that's exactly what is rebirth. We always think, that something, we are reborn. I mean, the body is not reborn. Certainly not. So what is reborn? When you look in the mirror, what do you see? You see a self. I mean, you see a woman or you see a man. That's what you see. You see you're handsome or you see you're ugly. You see you're tall or you see you're short. Or thick or thin. Or dark-haired or fair-haired. I mean, that's what you see. And that's why you think you are something. your Ken, or your Kaya, or your Hartman. I mean, that's what you think. And that's what we assume all the time. But actually, when you look at this river, when the water that falls to the river, one time it is in the river of Ganges, and then another time it's in the Rhine, or in Mississippi, or in all these other rivers, or Nile, or whatever, I mean, does the water change? No, even the water doesn't get dirty. I mean, the water is just water. Wherever it drops, that's where it falls. And that's where it goes. And then whatever, but to understand, how we are put from one life to the other, or how this drop is, from one life to the other, if we understand karma, then we know. I mean, if you understand karma, the Lord Buddha gives in the Middle Length saying, he gives a good example. I mean, a person who always tells lies, the next life he is born again, I mean, he will stink out of his mouth so that people don't even get close to him. That's the result of karma. People who are stingy, they won't become rich. But people who are very generous are the people who will become rich in the next life. People who serve others will become beautiful or handsome. I mean, that is the result of action. Of good action or bad action. I mean, he describes it pretty clearly. He says, if you do this, then this will happen. I mean, just like the law of physics, we know. We can say, if you do this, that will happen. Isn't it? I mean, we have that law. So what is going on? What is going on with the people who think that the water, is self? I mean, even if the water is in the big ocean, I mean people, or people who think they are the water at the coast of Florida, I mean, they think very differently from the people who are at the coast of Brazil, or in the Gulf of Thailand. I mean, they think there is something different from them. Because they're in a different location. Or maybe in the North Sea, that is very cold and still. I mean, that's all. So what are we defending? The moment we are defending something. No, I'm not like this. Or what are we defending? The water drop, that is at the coast of Florida, says, no, I'm not at the coast of Florida. I'm in the Atlantic. I'm in the North Atlantic. I mean, I just want to make a few examples, to give you an idea, what is it? I mean, you have to understand that it is the only law that governs. It's the law of karma. That is the one that goes from one life to the next life. I mean, the form it takes, that life, the next life, it depends on the karma that has been done, on the causes that have been set into motion in this life or in previous lives. So the result of the karma that we experience right now has been done, most of it has been done in previous lives. And we only reap the karma, or the results of the karma that we have done in this life, most of it in our next life. So when in this life we are generous and we think, oh, this doesn't work, the Lord Buddha said, we are generous, but we don't get rich. So we give it up. No. I mean, if a farmer, seeds a plant of an apple, I mean, he has to wait at least for 7 years until he can reap the apples. I mean, he knows it. I mean, but if he seeds, salad, he can reap it within 4 weeks. I mean, so that is karma. What you sow is that what you reap. In other terms. And some things, will have, very fast effects, and other things will have very long effects. I mean, they might not even come in the next life. They might come, after 7 lives. The results. Some of the results. I mean, we are so impatient, if you start meditation and nothing happens, tomorrow, we'll give it up. I mean, a farmer, who disregards, his apple seed, he will never get an apple tree. He fertilizes it, for 3 days, or, maybe even he's patient, for 2 weeks, Oh, nothing will come on, forget it. It's not worth it. I mean, if he doesn't see the next day the fruits of his, work, he will give it up. I mean, it can't be like that. We just, we have been all farmers, in previous lives, but just 200 years ago, most of the population has been farmers. So they all know it. I mean, we just have to be patient, wait, fertilize, remove the things, that that interfere with the growth of the plant or the growth of our harvest. Huh? I mean, then in this water drop, this water drop just looks like the other water drop, and the water, a water drop consists of water. And that is what is called the chitta. The water, the essence of the drop, is the chitta. And that, of course, never dies. But can you define it? Can you give it something that is personal? I mean, you can give it only something that is personal when it, forms a raindrop. More or less. I mean, this is just an example to show. People think, when Tanaja Mahabodha talks about the chitta as the everlasting tourist, or never dying tourist, I mean, they think, he introduces the atta concept, the self concept. But that's not true. I mean, they just don't understand. I mean, what is it? Now, just think about it, just take the example of Tanaja Mahabodha, of the never dying tourist. I mean, we go from home, we all come from one home. I mean, then we go to China, so we become Chinese. Next time we go to India, we become Indian. Next time we go to Europe, we could become European. I mean, the moment we travel from one country to another, we change. So in this life, we are Chinese, in the next life we are Indian, but it's still a tourist, going from one country or another. I mean, you behave differently when you live in Hamburg or when you live in Australia. The surrounding is certainly different. And you feel different. Hamburg is very cold. I mean, that just makes a character. I mean, it's very difficult to harvest there. Germany is normally cold. It's not a very comforting. So people have to work. And they work in houses or they work in offices, compared to Asia, where they live on the streets and work on the streets. I mean, it's quite different. So what goes, just like a tourist, we feel the moment we come to a new country, we feel like a new person. Until we realize, we're still the self. Same old self. All our problems, we took from one country to the next country will still remain the self. Now the same. And we think, the more we travel, the more we think, the more we know, don't we? The more we read, the more we think we know. But these are just weak examples. Now let's take another example. I mean, we're all familiar with games, computer games. or virtual reality game. I mean, just, we know, or we probably know of people, who get caught up in these games. They can't even let go. Now let them just play for 20 years. I mean, they can't deal with reality anymore. All what they know is their game world. And then somebody comes so cruel and says, I mean, that's not real. That's a game. You're playing a game. And of course he denies it. Because he lives this personality that he plays. So do we. We live the personality that we play. I mean, if we have on the clothes of a king, we live like a king. If we have the clothes on of a gangster, we live like a gangster. If we have that one of a doctor, we live like a doctor. And now this person, who plays this game, he doesn't play only, once the first game is finished, he plays the next game. And the longer he plays, the more he's addicted to games. I mean, when this game is finished, he just grabs for the next one. And do you think he can remember what kind of games he played? How many games he played? So how can we remember how many lives we have? How many personalities we have? How many things, how many millions or even billions of lives we've been through? In each life, we've thought, we were this personality. Just like Shakespeare said, in this life, in this role, in the next life, in the other role. I mean, just see, I just want you to see and understand, that there is nothing so real about self. I mean, it's a process. It's a very, very objective process, or actually law that is going on. I mean, the moment we retract from our virtual reality game and, somebody tells us to move the fingers, or take the hand off the trackball or whatever, I mean, we feel that there is still something else. Otherwise, we are grown into one unity with the trackball and the keyboard. And our eyes, are the screen. And then somebody tells us, to close our eyes, In the first moment we get afraid. Nothing is happening. We remove our hand and we think, we are out of control. Can you imagine, what happens to a person who doesn't wake up from the real games? I mean, we do have some examples, or maybe we know of some examples, who are really stuck in these games. Not only stuck in the game, but, also people who are stuck in gambling. Or addicted to, heroin. I mean, how difficult is it to get out of this thing? It takes a moment of sati. It takes a moment of mindfulness, or moment of waking up, See, what is going on? What am I doing, But the next moment we are back in. And it is difficult. We know it is difficult, when we are addicted to something, it's very difficult to get out. I mean, next time you have the opportunity to look at a passionate video game player, just look at him. Look at his personality. Look how he deals with his surrounding. Look how he deals with reality. And now think about it, if he does it for the rest of his life, I mean, he's hopeless. And that same thing happened to us. We are stuck in the reality game of life. And each time we come anew into this world, we think we are a new person. Just like the person, who takes on a different character in the game. And his behavior melts in with the characteristics of this this character in the game. I mean, in the beginning we all think, the people who start playing these video games think it's fun. But it has grown. I mean, now there is, somebody told me there's even on the internet where you can change your personality. I mean, you can live you can design a house, you can design an environment, be a completely new personality. I mean, to see, now we are not even in reality, and now we're playing even, not in this reality is too much. Now we play another reality because we can't bear the reality we're living in. I mean, you see how it, unfolds. And the same thing, happens to us, who are stuck in this circle of death and birth, or the circle of rebirth. We're stuck in there. Until we find somebody who's so compassionate, like the Lord Buddha, who shows us the way out. And says, look, people, open your eyes and see for yourself where you are. But it's very difficult to open the eyes, because the moment we open our eyes, we are afraid, because we don't know the things that are around us. We only know the screen and the sounds that come from our computer. So how can we realize that we are actually stuck? I mean, the moment we get into the state of Upachara Samadhi or Access Samadhi, I mean, it is just like we see the game, but we do not interact with the game. We just see it unfolding, just working on itself. So it shows us, or it can show us, that actually, everything is already fine. I mean, the moment we get out of Upachara Samadhi, we are back, thrown into the world, back on the stage. And then we feel like we are attacked by this person, or attacked by that person, or attacked by this situation, or attacked by that situation, and we have to fight it. The moment we go back into Samadhi, we don't even have the necessity to fight it, we just see it unfolding. Yes, of course, I mean, we escape every night. We go to sleep. I mean, at least, this is a healthy escape. No, but it also shows us something. The moment we come out. And then even if we go a level deeper, I mean, even that game, disappears. And that's nothing. And that's what we call, the essence of the water, or the essence of the rain. That's a chitta. And that's just a chitta. And that, of course, is eternal. But that, of course, doesn't have any notion of self. How can it? It can only have a notion of self if it sees itself distinct from objects. I mean, the moment I recognize this is something different from me, then the self is created. The moment I see there's an object and there's an observer of this object, I mean, I'm different. That's how self is created. And the moment, this converges into one thing that is called a knowingness, I mean, self has to disappear. The notion of self has to disappear. And that thing is eternal. But what brings us from one life to the other is what is called karma. If you call that a self, that is pretty foolish. It's just the law of cause and effect. You have to understand. But understanding is not taking place in your brains. Understanding is by seeing it with your own heart, or seeing it with your chitta. Experience it for yourself. I mean, that are the good side effects of Upachara Samadhi or Appana Samadhi. I mean, you can experience it at least, and hopefully, when you come out, you reflect about it. Hopefully, What has happened, Now what is real and what is not real? I mean, everything that can disappear, it's not real. Is it? The thing that doesn't disappear, that is much more real. Just like, you turn off the screen of a gamer, he gets but you can turn it off. In that moment it doesn't exist. It shows us it's not real. The problem is that we are so caught, we feel, we see, But what do we see and what do we feel? We never investigate. And that's what we're going to investigate. The first thing, and the most common thing that we identify with, is the body. So we investigate the body. Just put a, let's say a company picture. Let's say, the people of a company, from the cleaning person up to the manager, standing in front of their company and taking a picture. So, take off the clothes. So, who is the manager and who is the maintenance person? You don't know. That's interesting. You still see the difference between male and female. Now take off the skin, and you don't even see if somebody is young or if somebody is old. Or you hardly see, if there's a female or a male. Only what you see is flesh and blood. So this bag of skin, is that what defines us? If you take it off, or if you undress your skin, all what it weighs is, together with the fat, is about 3 kilos. Blow it up, and let it walk through. You wouldn't identify with the rest of the mass of the blood, would you? And flesh? Would you think that is self? Or you would rather identify with the teeth or with the hair or with the skin. There you can differentiate if something is old or if something is young. Or if something is female and something is male. That reduces reduces quite a big portion of self. That is the identification that we have with the body. The next is the identification with the other khandhas, with the other groups. That's feeling. That's quite important. I'm sad. I'm happy. I'm not well. I'm sick. I'm rich. I'm poor. One moment we are sick, so we think we are sick. The next moment we think we are healthy. Now what are we? When we look at both of these states, what are we? Are we sick or are we healthy? So why do we call ourselves sick and why do we call ourselves healthy? Why do we call ourselves happy? These are states that are impermanent. Even people who are rich, can get poor. The moment they get poor, they mostly kill themselves. A few years ago there was a crash, where people lost, enormous fortunes. And some of them, just killed themselves because they couldn't live in poverty anymore. So they identify with their richness. Or they identify with their house, or they identify with their children, or with their partners, or with whatever. Or with the country they live in, or with, so whatever. So feeling is another group that we have to investigate. So when we investigate the body, we also investigate the bodily feelings in the same group. Mind feelings is something else. And then memory. Memory is not always the same. If I want to remember something, I can't. I try and try and try, but I can't remember. I mean, so memory doesn't really belong to us, does it? If it belongs to us, we have to control of it. I mean, that Coke now belongs to me. I have control. I can drink it or not drink it. Memory doesn't belong to me because now I can't even recall what I said last time. Even if I want to. I can't, If somebody helps me, maybe I can remember it. Or what did I do, just exactly 2 years ago? I can't remember. What did I think, 2 years ago? I can't remember. I know that I remember that when I was 20, I was thinking pretty differently from what I'm thinking now. So which is me? Which thought is me? Is it that 20 years ago, or is it that now? And tomorrow it might change as well. I mean, what is it? I mean, reflect about it very carefully. What is that what you call yourself and what is not impermanent? What is not changing? What is that, what yourself, and what has not changed, that at least the lifetime you can look upon it. Maybe 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. What hasn't changed? I mean, the body has changed.
What about the genes?
The genes. I mean, what is the genes? I mean, as far as I remember, I heard somebody, some of these, molecular biologists tell us, that every cell in our body is replaced by another cell within 7 years. So, I mean, the genes are reproduced, they are copied. Just like, you go to sleep, and it's copied onto, when you wake up. You remember that. I mean, when you're drunk, you don't remember. I mean, it's that. I mean, the genes, where does the genes come from, Come on. I mean, that is actually the information that goes into your body, and that is produced because of the karma of your previous life. That's why people turn out ugly. That's why people turn out beautiful. That's why they have that gene to be intelligent or stupid. So we think, everything is poised in the genes, but I mean, just look at the difference of brothers or sisters. This is the same genes. And they can be quite different. Brothers killing each other out of hate. Or, sons killing their father or their mother. I mean, we all had it in history. So genes cannot be, genes cannot be self, It's just a process. I mean, hair is not self, it grows, you cut it and it grows again, and you cut it and it grows again and you cut it. So what is it that hasn't changed? I mean, in the next life you won't have that gene. Anyway, because the moment, the body is dead, it dies. And then you're born again, and then you have a new gene, or a new body. So what is it? I just invite you for a reflection. What is it, that has not been changed during the time you can remember? What you really could call self, personality, trait. People who are stingy can become generous. Generous people can become stingy. Everything can change. And some people can become ugly if they do the wrong things. So everything is changing. What is it, what you call yourself? I mean, don't you think it's time to go back home, where we come from? I mean, stopping all this tourism of this world, not only this world or the other world. I mean, how often have you traveled? Are you not sick of traveling? Or in other terms, are you not sick of playing one game after the other? I mean, if you don't do anything, you're prone to, to pick up the next game. Just the one that is very close. That's what we normally pick up. The closest to us, we pick up. So the process of getting free from the attachment to our karma or to karma, or the attachment to our gains, or to the attachment to our life, we have to investigate what we think that is self. And the first thing is the body. That's why we investigate. And when we investigate it correctly, the moment we strip off the skin, we get disgusted. Even if we have a very lovely wife or very lovely partner or handsome partner, whatever, we strip the skin off, we don't even want to touch it. We are so disgusted with the look of it, there's no feeling towards this person. All the feelings of love that we so much praise in the books, the moment we remove the skin of that person, it will go. You don't love that person. You don't love that meatball. Isn't that interesting? Just do it, just do it as an exercise and see it for yourself, and it is working. So we actually attach our love to something that is outside. To the skin. And with the skin, we have the feeling comes the personality. Just look at the eyes, we say, the eyes of a person is his personality. And remove the eyes, and just bring it out. And remove the teeth. That is what, just look at our advertisement, in this world, what do they advertise? Hairstyle, teeth, clothes. That's what is defining ourselves. And then smell. Now, only in the last 20 years, smell. This perfume, that perfume, this deodorant, or that deodorant, or that. That style of clothes, now it has to be this Bosch or whatever. What is it called? I don't even remember. All these brand marks, or brand names. The moment you wear it, you are. That's what people, youngsters believe. That's why they need it. They don't want to be outsiders, outside of the society, outside of their group. That's why they have to have it. So coming back, what is it that what is self? The only thing that you can find, what you can call real, is this knowingness that is always there, that always constantly knows about what is going on. That is the closest match to what we can find when we look for self. The thing that knows. But that thing that knows is objective. And when it converted or converged into itself, it just knows and there are no objects. So this must be really one of these amazing reality games. It really feels so real, doesn't it? We see, and we see something. And when we go somewhere else, we see something else. At least that's what we think. The moment we investigate seeing, then we just see, wherever we go, we see colors and form. And wherever we go, we just hear sounds. If you go to India, or even go to North Germany, or Siberia, you hear sounds. You define them. You define what your eyes are seeing. You define what your ears are hearing. You define what your nose is smelling and what your tongue is tasting. That's what you define. We all know that, not everybody's, some things are not everybody's taste. Some people like this, and they find that is great. And other people just, find it loathsome. I mean oysters, people, find it so absolutely, quite a few people find it so absolutely delicious, I find it disgusting. Huh? I mean, we don't eat oysters because it's raw. It's not cooked as much. We don't eat raw fish or any raw meat. Yeah, I mean, whatever, if you go to Japan, they have quite a different way of cooking. I mean, it's not everybody's style. So, that just comes back, whatever we see, whatever we taste, whatever we hear, is that what we define it as? It has nothing to do with the truth of it. Hearing is just hearing, seeing is just seeing, smelling is just smelling, tasting is tasting, and touching is touching. I mean, let's go back to the basics, huh? We want to understand the mechanism of this clockwork. I mean, all what we see, all what we can see, we see pointers moving, and it gives us time. Now let's understand how the pointers move. I mean, 2 o'clock is, this person, 3 o'clock is that person, 4 o'clock is that person. Different, isn't it? If you walk at, the Californian coast or walk at the, Palm Beach, that's different. It's a different environment. It seems to be a different setting. So people fight about these differences, don't they? I come from there. I'm rich. I'm educated. And that's what we stand up for. I'm a professor. I'm a doctor. That's what we live for. That's how we identify ourselves. Mostly with outside things. And then when we leave out the outside things, the material things, though it is quite difficult to leave out these material things, and then we latch on to, what we think we are, and what we think, yeah? We never ever investigated, maybe thoughts are not my thoughts. Maybe thoughts are just there, that we grab it, just like anything else. Just like any material. Memories, just like a memory we grab. And then we think it's mine. The moment I grab this Coke, I think it's mine, of course. Eh? But if somebody else grabs it, it's that's easy, it's the same with thoughts. I mean, I told you, I've done an experiment. The moment I got a little bit, I thought, what the hell is going on? Who the hell are you? I thought, I started investigating. So I was sitting in a brainstorm meeting of scientists, and I had a really great idea. And then I stopped that moment I wanted to say it and said, okay, let's wait if somebody else is getting this idea. And it took only 10 or 15 minutes. The same idea, popped out of somebody else's mouth. So I said, how can that be your idea? It's just there in the room. I grabbed it, I said, it's my Coke, Somebody else grabs it, says it's his Coke. Whose Coke is it? Nobody's. In the first place. We grab this body and we call it us. We grab these feelings and we call it us. We grab this memory and we call it us. We grab this thought and we call it us. We grab this consciousness and we call it us. I mean, we still, the moment we are a little bit quiet, we reflect upon, or we view, then we see things are happening. Then we actually could say, there is a feeling. There is a body. There is a sense contact. There is a thought. And then we have the distinction between the observer and the thing that is happening. In terms of the player, a video game, he observes, okay, there's something going on the screen, huh? And if I do this, this will move. And if I do that, that will move. But it has nothing to do with him. I mean, he's something completely different, which has been crossed in this game. I mean, that is the closest, that's the closest analogy to what situation we are in. Engrossed in a game. Now we have to retract. And first, get what is happening? What is happening? Okay, there's a thought. Oh, there's a memory. There's a sense contact. There's hearing, there's smelling, there's tasting, there's visual contact, there's touching. Now investigate each sense by itself. Touching is touching. Hearing is hearing. So when we are hearing, we don't hear a chicken, or a snake, or a peacock, or a turtle. We just hear what is really there, the sound. When we see, we don't see a tree or a leaf, we just see color and form. When we touch, we just are aware of the feeling of touch. When we taste, we are just aware of the feeling of taste. Not say, oh, that's good, delicious, we want more. I mean, that is what is happening. Or this is not delicious, I don't want any of it. Or that is disgusting, so I spit it out. I mean, the moment we feel it, we taste it, and we just stay with the taste. We have to learn to do that. I mean, it's not easy, because we are not used to it. We are used to react. I mean, as I said in the beginning, karma flows down the river. It's just like a river flowing down. And it takes the path of least resistance. Now we are observing it. We are observing the river flowing down, and then we think, oh, this river doesn't flow in a good direction. So we put a resistance in, so that it flows another way. But that, of course, is work. And sometimes really hard work. Or we want to do, we want to grow it. We see it's turning around a mountain, and then avoiding a fruitful valley. I mean, when we have to remove the mountain. I mean, that's hard work, to make that valley really lush. I mean, that is with developing characteristic tendencies that are wholesome. Just like tendencies of respect, gratitude, generosity, because they are leading to wholesome results. We do not give into greed, and we do not give into hate. But to do that is making a break on that river that normally flows in that direction. We normally, somebody says to us, we act, we're angry. Boop. And if we keep on this way, it becomes, the river will run deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and it is much more difficult to stop it. I mean, the moment we see it, we put a resistance. No, I'm not going this way. We're going another way. Stop. So until, the river flows in a direction that is producing a lot of wholesome results. I mean, wherever the water goes, there will be there will be plants growing. But of course we can let it run through the stony area, through the mountains, where nothing will happen, where it just dissipates. And that's when we do bad karma. That is what we can do. We cannot change the flow of the river. We cannot change, the current that comes, or the water that flows down, but we can change the direction. That's in our ability, because we observe the direction and we see it's not good, so we put a resistance in, so that the current will flow in the other direction. And that means, in the long run, changing the karma. If the river doesn't flow there anymore, that unwholesome field dies out, in the wholesome field, we lead the water to, will grow. I mean, it's easy to describe. And yet there's so much resistance within us that it doesn't want to do it, isn't it? I mean, to overcome our inner dog, like we call it in Germany, innerer Schweinehund, that is lazy, that just likes to let things, happen the way it happens, and not to change things. Oh, I'm right, I mean, if you're still living in the world, we still cannot watch our actions. The moment there's a rectification for our action, we know actually there was something wrong with it. We need to rectify, we need to justify. I mean, if something is really good, there's no need to justify. But the moment we need to justify something, or we need to defend ourselves, then we know there's something wrong. And then let's take that as a red lamp, Okay, now what is wrong within me? Why do I need to justify? There must be something wrong with us. That couldn't have been good. And then we see it. I mean, if you look, we see it. If we open our eyes, we have to see it. And that is the way how to open our eyes. One way. That's dealing with external things that we are still in contact with. If we are in the monastery or if we are in life, it happens the same way. In life, it's very difficult because we don't have the concentration, we don't have the quietude or the calm of our daily practice. When we live in the monastery, it's much more easy. And then we see, we're still reacting, We still say something, even if it's not necessary. We still defend ourselves. We can, We still rectify our action. Instead of, stop, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? What is wrong there? What am I defending? What am I defending? It's a good question. What are we defending? A view that we are a tree? Or this kind of beautiful tree, or ugly tree, or worthless tree? Or hardwood tree, or soft tree, or what is it? What are we defending? What are we arguing about? I mean, don't forget. Don't forget what? Card. Sanya card. What I was talking about? The last sentence?
We are defending.
So that is one thing to get a closer look. What are we defending? Are we defending that we are good? Are we defending that we are not bad? If somebody says something bad about us, it just shows us. I mean, if we do something that is completely correct, we don't even need a justification for it. I mean, nothing comes up. I mean, our citta is completely calm. The moment it does something that is correct, it's just in line. It's the views that we have about ourselves that we need to defend. And the more views we have, the stronger our castle of self is. I mean, when somebody throws a bomb at us, and the first thing we do, we don't even reflect about it. I mean, we take the material, to fix the wall. I mean, and that fixing of the wall, of course, it will lead, to all ugly things, and then we need to fix that, because they break in the back, we need to fix that, and then we need to fix that. I mean, what kind of effort do we constantly do to fix these things? Huh? Just let them go, just let it pass through. And once you understand it, once you get a notion of it, I mean, you see it, everything that is what you call self is just a curtain of light, And the moment you realize it's a curtain of light, whatever bomb comes through, it just goes through. It doesn't leave any traces on that curtain of light. That's interesting. So any kind of anger that is blown at us, just will pass through. Without leaving any traces of it. Yeah. Well, to get rid of the self, to get rid of this building of self. Of course, it is kilesa. I mean, the moment it can hit something, that is exactly what you have to investigate, what it hits. Because that is the troublemaker. Not whoever throws it, but whatever it hits. That's the troublemaker. If it just passes through, nothing is hit, so then we feel pretty free. And we don't have so much work to do, constantly to defend ourselves. Or constantly to show off. Just like one of my colleagues when I, in my work, said, life is just showing up. Just showing up, showing up at the right time, that's life. I mean, we don't have to show off anything and we still live. I mean, the body is there, isn't it? Even if somebody is really aggressive at you. I mean, he doesn't take away your memories, he doesn't take away your thoughts, he doesn't take away your feelings. You let him take away your feelings. You're the ones. You're the ones responsible. So think about, all this work that we do constantly, the moment we think I am, I want, I don't want. We're building up this castle. And the more we think about it, the stronger it is. And then, of course, the blow is bigger. I mean, it can hit more material. Interesting, isn't it? I mean, reflect in a wholesome way and you will understand. But the understanding, please, don't forget the understanding is not taking place in the brain, it's taking place in the heart. It's seeing inside the true nature of things, and once you understood the true nature of things, there's no problem. It's not words that give meaning. It's we who make meanings of the words. It's not so important, to read all the suttas and to understand them. It's more important, to realize what the Lord Buddha points at. Because they are pointers, but we know from programming language, pointer never store the value. It just points to a place where the value is. So all the teachings of the Lord Buddhas are pointers. So we actually have to follow the pointers and look at the place, and then there the value is stored. But all what we do is we chuckle with these pointers. And words are nothing else than pointers. Look what it means in the terms of the 5 basic things. The 5 basic groups. Or when you look at the body, also the 6 senses. That's it. That's the basic that we have, that we can work with. Everything else is made up. And the experience takes place in the heart. I mean, experience is an experience and nobody can take it away. Knowledge is something that everybody can take away from you. You can defy it. You can say that's not true. And then of course you argue, of course it's true. And then you fight. But experience is something that is. It just is. And whatever person says, I mean, you have done this experience. I mean, if I went to Nepal, or even went up the Himalaya, and other people tell me, you didn't. I still know I did. I mean, it's clear to me that I did it. Or that I swam in the Pacific. Or that I hiked through the Sahara. I know that I did it. People can say whatever they want, They just don't believe it. Because they see me as a person who cannot do it. So that's why they say it. I still did it. So, no matter what, I mean, the experience of our practice is that what holds. And the wisdom is that what it arises from. From our experience arises wisdom. The deeper the insight, the deeper the wisdom. I mean, people constantly argue about what is self, what is anatta, what is atta, what is this, what is that, what is that. I mean, if they know what it is, if they experience themselves, they didn't need to ask. And they didn't need to argue. Because you can't argue about these things. It's just like two people go to Rome, experience Rome for 2 or 3 weeks. They come back, and then by chance they meet and they talk about Rome, and both people know, oh, he has been to Rome, and the other person knows he has been to Rome because, they know it. And then 2 other people who read good descriptions of Rome. Maybe they read the same book. So, but, one person remembers this and another person remembers that. So they argue. Maybe later on they find out they have the same source. So, I can show you, here. Oh yeah, I forgot it, But now take 2 descriptions. Take 2 different books of Rome. I mean, they argue for the rest of their life. Because they have never been to Rome. So they actually don't know what Rome is like. They only read the description of what Rome is like. I mean, what the description is, not the Rome itself. It's just like I said before, it just points us to the values. The moment we go there, the moment we experience it, that's when we catch the value. If you follow the direction of the pointer, if you follow the direction of the practice of the Lord Buddha, I mean, he says we should go out in the forest and practice by ourselves. Okay. I mean, we can take it on and argue with other people. Oh, you don't, We sit in the monastery and we see another person who is in the city. Oh, you should go in the forest. We don't. We ourselves didn't go in the forest. I mean, that is arguing about, Also the same thing about atta or the chitta. What if the chitta is eternal or not? If it's not introducing the atta concept again or the self concept. I mean, if you understand what the chitta is, we don't have any questions about it. What is atta and what is not atta? I mean, atta, of course, is an utterly delusion that I try to explain now for more than an hour. And some people become restless. So, and with this I stop. I really try to explain, that there is, trying to give some analogies, for you to reflect upon. What is this? And then you will find nothing that you can call self. You will find the law of karma. And that is what is going from one birth to the next. That's it, what you find. So, with this I stop.